Okay, welcome to part 2 of the dash clock build and dishwasher time. Load, lock load, gas mark 5. Let's go. Okay, with a quick trip to the dishwasher, in and out, we can now get this face plate, and a nice coat of white just goes over that. Just some simple gloss just to freshen it up a little bit. The black plastic there, fine. The blue backing case, no problem. Couple of little marks on it where the heat of the bulbs has faded the plastic, but that's fine for us to use. And then just that's how the gauges are going to be sitting in. We've already started touching in the needles, the dial indicators, with some fluorescent orange paint. I'll take you across and show you what I mean about the fluorescent paint and how effective that it is. Just let me take a seat on the bench. We'll keep you on the tripod most of the time. Just use this, happens to be from Halfords, fluorescent paint, almost an exact match for the dial, which is a great thing. And then just a little modelling brush, carefully. You can lift these needles off the rev gauge. You can't off the speedo, but you can off the rev gauge, although this one seems stuck on, so I just carefully touch that in with some paper behind it. That one's done. All we've got to do now is the pointers for the clock, the hands for the clock. We've done the speedo. We may set the speedo to 90,000, I'll just have to see. That's the last of my worries. So continuing on, a little bit of fluorescent paint now on the clock of our choice, and we've got them pretty good. Certainly the right hand 3, we've eventually done it, and quite a bit of a mission really. Lights on then, quite a little bit of a mission to get them, probably over 2 or 3 evenings of adjusting with the watchmaker's screwdriver there, and just make a note, keep the clock in the background for reference. And you can see over 24 hours we've gained on all 3 universally almost the same. Second from left and final one on the right, almost keeping up with each other exactly. The one in the middle slightly ahead by 5 seconds. I can certainly live with that. The original XL one behind by 30 seconds, so one last tweak on that should bring that one in. You're down to just like minute adjustments. Obviously we've got temperature and possibly humidity affecting this as well. We're never going to get accuracy with this kind of movement, I don't think. We could aim for perhaps half a minute a week, would be great. If we calculated it out, we've gained, well, if we look in a 24-hour period, the clock at the moment, when it comes up to 12, assuming that quartz clock there is any good, 12 now, we've gained 6 seconds on Bramble's original clock and the new old stock outside one. Look, the favourites, they gained 6 seconds in 24 hours. 24 times 6, giving you a gain of 144 seconds a week. Oh, times 7, whoops, hold on, 24 times, oh no, they gained 6 seconds, yeah, sorry, that is right. So 144 seconds a day, 7 days a week, 1008 seconds a week divided by 60 for your minutes. 16 minutes, eh? No, that's too much. Recalculate, I think I got that wrong. Help me, help me. We gain 6 seconds a day. Alright, 7 days a week. 6 times 7, we gain 42 seconds a week. Okay, because it's 6 seconds a day in a 24-hour period, so 42 seconds gained on the middle and far right hand side clock, because it is 6 seconds. So that is 42 seconds a week. Can't even times up, times by a month for 4, 168 seconds a month, divide by 60, 2 minutes a month. I can live with that. I'll say 3 minutes a month gained. That's fine, we can live with that. By the time we come back to the car, the clock's gone 3 minutes. Well, okay, most of the time the clock's set when you do a long distance trip. You trim it in. I don't really think that we'd get it better than that. We could be here for a lot longer trying to calibrate these, and then how do we know how much tolerance there is to do with temperature changes and stuff? So should we call it an acceptable level there, and then so that we can move on, because it's important to keep moving on, and this could hold us up. Time's valuable. So we think we've done plenty on clocks. I tested your limits on the last video. I took you to the max red line, and speaking of red lines, we've got to put this faded red line area in which we're going to be using some detailing tape on the edge. We're going to mask it up and spray this little patch to finish this off. We may well do that right now. Set you up on the tripod. Let's paint this little red line triangle, because it's sun faded, UV faded outlook. Should be orange. Let's do it. Okay, so we've laid out the tape there, just made it just over, so we're going to gain a fraction of a mil, just because I didn't want to see a sort of pronounced yellowish faded edge. So I've just got to do the curve bit. That'll be the trickiest bit. This is the detailing tape, a very fine tape which you get from the body motor factors from your paint supplies. Very fine detailing tape. It's not quite paper, it's more of a plasticky feel to it, and we want to get it right on the edge and try and curve it round, but we've got to preserve that white line there, as Grandmaster Flash said. Don't do it. That will be the difficult bit. It's time for me to use the magnifier to help me. I've just got to get a curve. I could cut a circle out of card, place it on. I may do that, because that's not going to curve round the way that I want it to. I was hoping that this would compress a little bit and you'd be able to feed it in. Let's just try it, but I don't think it'll do it. The noise of clocks will soon be gone as we shut them down and put the rest into stock. Being very careful with the delicate face of the gauge, everybody. I don't think this will really want to curve that profile. Not really. Something with a similar radius, but then you could get some bleed through. So this needs to be sharp, it needs to be defined, and it needs to be right. That white line there, crucial then to get it right. I'm going to come up with a system to do it. Hold on while we do this. Get exactly, maintain that white line. We do not want to damage that by overspraying it. Okay, do you see what I'm trying to do? Leave it with me a sec. I'll come up with an idea. Okay, looks a bit crazy, but this should do it. I cut out some sticky paper, like a vinyl paper. Luckily, this cap off the one of the paint tubs is exactly the same diameter as the radius, so the same radius as the circle of the rev counter, so we just cut round and then stuck it on, so that should follow it. So now I'm going to paint that now and see what happens. Shake up the fluorescent paint and get that on. Okay, here we go, a really good rattle. There we go. Here's hoping. dries quite quick. I just did a test there, so as soon as it mats over, there was a little mark on the paint of it, but I didn't want to affect it. I didn't want to scratch at it, like a little blemish. We'll have to just take our chances. I'm sure it'll be okay. You can just see the marks back there. But in the scheme of things, we have to have our cut-off point, you know this. We could spend a lot of time down to millimetres in the greater scheme of things. This is the best that we're going to be able to do, and I think it'll be pretty good. I don't think you'll be able to tell. But in terms of that blemish on it, is I stripped a whole lot back, reprime it, then get it on. I'm not going that far. I think it's unnecessary. So this is where we go. I just touched that paper to see. Now it dries quite fast. I don't want to go too far. That's the max, I think, now. As soon as that mats off, I think that is the max. I think that's enough paint. Of course, it's not painting over black. It's already painting over a faded fluorescent, so it's not going to break through the black background as such. We'll leave that for a few minutes and we'll unveil. Right, let's see how we turned out. Carefully, because we've got the gauge. Careful, because we're hoping the paint remains untouched on the face of the instrument. And I don't want to suddenly let the tape let go and then my hand run into the needle and damage the needle, so work backwards once we've got that. There we are, we've got it away from the needle, out, and then the white, not quite masking tape. Gotta have patience for this. You really do. Things are sticking to my hands. Help me. I didn't plan on that sticking to that. No. Cut that. That doesn't want to cut. Oh, glad there's no paint on that one. Right. One more. Well, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. We have a lovely new red area. I don't think the factory lines were that defined anyway, so that's okay. We can certainly go with that. Beautiful. How about that? We've fixed the faded gauge, made a nice new red line. So it's worked. A little bit of bleed there. I wouldn't have thought you would have got that with that tape. Perhaps just there, a little touch of bleed, but again, I've noticed them. I'm going to look at another gauge. I don't think I've got one on the bench. Let's have a look. There's one down here. That one's not a perfectly razor sharp cut, I must admit. So we're okay. We can go with that. We can live with that. That's within the realms of our OCD. No problem. Once all the dashes together, I'll forget all about it. Well, there's no reason why we can't use Bramble's original clock because we've repaired it. Not sure on the condition of the face plates. I think it will clean up, so I'm going to strip this down and just see. But if you look at the clock there, they're not far off for 24 hours. Can you see the clock? Gotta get it right at the back. Hard for you at that angle. Hold on, tilt you up a touch. Tilting you up a touch. There you go. So ahead by, that one's ahead by 8 seconds. So I could try one more trim, but it's really risking it. I might just give it one last back off and do it. But then we're going to take it apart and refurb this now. Okay, we can get these pointers off, these hands, the hands of the clock. Flip the face. Have a look at that face. Bramble's face. Bramble's clock's going to need this winder replacing here because it's snapped, so I have to pinch one off one of the new old stock, which is a shame, taking a new old stock apart just to get that off. If Bramble's fails, we've got one ready calibrated to go, so I'm just going to get a tacky cloth on here, get this dust off. These are kind of like sticky cloths you use on painting cars. Don't think it'll scratch it. I tested this before on a scrap dial face to make sure this cloth didn't do any damage. You can tell it's Bramble's faceplate because there is an area of wear here. The indicator, on later cars they moved the clock to the right, so the indicator would have been on this side if it was a left-hand clock, so them just little badges. Funnily enough, them ones are okay. In fact, I don't think that is Bramble's clock face. Could have got mixed up because that's a new old stock one, because those are fully intact there. So it must be the other, it's got to be this one. And that's the other new old stock clock, but I could have, oh, didn't I write on the back of them? Yeah, I did, I wrote on the back. Hold on, let's get this right, everybody. What did I do? It's gone missing. I don't know where it is. How strange. How very strange indeed. I was sure I wrote it on the back. That's B. That's definitely B. B line. I don't know where it is. How odd. Okay, well, it's immaterial really. We're going to use this one. There's nothing else to do to that. You don't want to go over the top. Could use some Armour All wipes, but anything that you put on here is going to attract dust if you're not careful. So whatever it is, it wants to be anti-static. And also, if we're doing that mod to the fan indicator, we'll need to make a hole in this too. Leave that with me while I paint these hands. Now we've got to get some white on there. We've got to get black on the middle. These don't need black on the middle. This one's the one that need the most work. We could either dip that or just paint that in. We'll just paint that in there with a brush, paint this in with the orange, paint that in with the black. Let's get that done now. Okay, quite easy with a watchmaker's screwdriver to just some paint sprayed into the cap. Oh god, my hands aren't steady. Bring that up so it levels out. I have to tap it and then it'll form a little. You do need steady hands for this. Let's try that now. I'm just trying to get the paint. That's the meniscus problem, I think. Surface tension. Who says that I should really have painted all of it luminous first? I don't know. Time for the magnifier. I'm hoping you can see up there. You probably can't. You probably can't. I'll explain what I'm going to do. I'm going to put paint on there, then I'm going to paint round there. You may or may not be able to see this. Although, I must admit, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to. Let's try a little trick. It may not work. I have got other needles to mess this up. I was thinking that might have forced it outwards, but it didn't. Still. Oh, do you need steady hands for this? You really do. It's all a question of how. You can only stack that so high before it has to go somewhere. Of course, I don't want to put too much in. And you don't want to catapult it out either. Now, you know what? It has not gone round the edges at all, which annoys me. I want it right up to the edges. And it's adamant. Unloading it now. Let's just hope we can get the orange in alright. Right, we're unloaded. Orange neck. Well, definitely wasn't happy with that, so it's into the thinners. Let's take it all off and start again. What I've noticed, putting it in the thinners, they painted the whole needle white first, then the colours went on top of that, so that's what we're going to do. Strip it back, wash all the paint I've just put on because I didn't like it, didn't like how it was going. Give it a little very light buff because there's some corrosion on the needle, so we can just get the very fine 2000 grit on there and smooth that up the best we can. And take this off. You can see the white there, so we'll do that. Curiously, it's not took the black out. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start again on this. Didn't like it. Probably won't be able to see a thing. Woo! Woo-hoo-hoo! This is the way to do it. All white. All white's lemonade. Woo! Right. Now I know this is a total whiteout. Okay, but the needle's just here. Put the needle on the record. It's just there. And it's a lot easier doing it like this than I had it before because I'm using the spray paints. White the needle first, then spray the orange bit, then touch in the black part. That's what we're going to do. Okay, now I know because I've been painting this white, it's just not visible on your screen, but essentially thinners on the needle, sandpapered it back because it was pitted and corroded at the end on the aluminium. It's come up alright. Overspray in white, let it go off, let it dry. Overspray in orange and touch the black in. That's the way to do it. We'll see how that looks. I'm not going to film this bit, it's difficult to film. We'll just bring it to you with the finished art. Sorry about that. They're not particularly good camera. The nature of the beast, such that. Very, very, very careful with the heat gun. You'll just blister the paint otherwise. Hardly getting anywhere near the heat gun. I think that's it. Time to touch in the black in the centre. Okay, that's looking a lot better. And now I know why the pen wouldn't, the black wouldn't go to the outside, because there's actually a raised section in here, so it would never flow out into the outer rim there. So the circle is actually contained within a little moat, if you will. So that's why the black paint didn't go out. So with me putting the thinners on it, it's got rid of everything. So everything's out and it's all cleaned back, and now the paint should just go onto that circle only. So I'm just going to very carefully touch in the black paint now to finish this off. That's looking nice. I've got a feeling you want to watch me struggle, don't you? Tripod coming in and a little bit of shakiness for you as it comes in, so you can watch me struggle. This is model making territory now. Down you go, checking that you focus. Let's use this to check the focus. Yeah, okay. Light overhead. Just a needle pick end. Nothing on yet. Nothing on yet. Perhaps that's not the best tool. It hasn't deposited anything. The paintbrushes are rubbish. It's breaking down. The bristles are coming off the paintbrush. I've got rubbish paintbrushes, so oh, I can't keep my hands straight. It's going. Cotton bud perhaps. It's too late though, I'm on it. There's a I can hear the the very big Boeing jet going over to either the Virgin Atlantic one. You can always tell it's that one. Big, not jumbo, the one, the super liner, whatever it is. I can hear it. It's got distinctive sound. I'm on the flight path to New York. Could ruin the whole thing with this. looking alright under the magnifier. Just wants a little bit more, but you don't want it to overspill. Okay, in this tub is the minute and second hand dissolving away the old paint before we retreat these. Bring them out now, see how they're going. Coming off nicely. Leave them for a little bit more. We'll white prime those and then we shall give them the fluorescent paint. We'll start to reassemble the clock. I've now fitted the new armature to this, satin black that, careful with the thinners. So that's got the shaft all sanded back and painted. We're nearly done. Okay, two nicely refurbed hand and minute, or one hand, 1 minute, nicely done. Nothing to stop us putting the clock back together. I'm happy with the dial face. So I'm going to put all this back as one now and build the clock up. That's it. One rebuilt clock. Right. Do you remember me telling you about this sellotape that all crinkles? We're going to get it off and clean the discs, then refit. There's one. There's the other. Gotta watch I don't grab that face. There we go. Right, WD will do these. Just all crinkles up. Don't get a nice uniform colour for your disc otherwise. Let's clean those. Another big jet going over it. This one a little bit more stubborn. Careful with the WD not to splash the gauges. Now, do you remember me telling you about the auxiliary warning lamp, or not the auxiliary warning lamp, the fan, electric cooling fan running indicator? We wanted something that wasn't a light, because at night time or in the day it'd be cycling on and annoying you on the dash. You wanted something mechanical, which was there if you looked for it. but wouldn't jump out if it was going off and on while we're on. Look at that, it's just above the 9. Fan on, fan off, and we get it. We get that little indicator there, little solenoid just at the top. I've just glue gunned it for now till I get the exact position, but it's fitted and working. Just on that, bring it closer to you, you can see. So that is our indicator on trial. If we ever had to revert to back, we didn't want it, this disc just comes off, this plate of the clock just comes off, and you could just not have it. Well, that's a little modification, because I always want to know if my fan's running. It'll just give me an early warning if something's about to fail as well. If you're running low on water, it'll give you an early warning this, because your fan will be on all the time as you overheat. I think anyway. Yeah, because my fan sensors in the bottom of the engine, I usually fit them at the bottom, not the top of the radiator. So if you're getting into a dangerous situation or you were overheating, you noticed that was on all the time, if you were looking for it anyway. Obviously we've got temperature warnings as well, but it's good to know. And I could fit a feedback sensor on the fan that actually tells you if it's actually revolving or not, rather than just that the relay's on, because you could have the fan relay on but the fan motor seized and doing no rotation. So you could fit a little sensor on the fan blade shaft quite easily and link it into this, so it gives you a true indication that you have electric fan cooling, because that's the downside of an electric fan. Not as reliable as in terms of it breaking, because you could get a relay fail, a fuse blow, a wire come off. But on a mechanical fan, you're normally pretty good. I've never known one really break. So this gives us that extra little bit of confidence, especially if we fit the sensor to the fan itself. It could either be on, well, if you did it on current, that wouldn't be a true indicator either, because it could be drawing current but still seized. So we're better off fitting a little RPM sensor on the fan, which is an easy thing to do, quite a simple circuit that could be built in the engine bay hidden away. Or I could build it as another module and bring the sensor wires into the cabin if we wanted to, but it's there, it's an option, we can do it if we want. And it fits in, doesn't get in the way, so there you go. And as I said, the clock face clips off, so you've not damaged it, you can just put another clock face on. I've got plenty of spare ones that I got a set of clock faces that didn't have dials attached to them, so they're effectively spares. So nothing lost there, a nice little feature. We're ready to start putting all the dash together. Now we've got to put the cruise control lamp into the speedo that tells us the cruise is on as well. That's another extra feature that we have. I'll fit that now. Little LED into the speedometer now between 50 and 60, same as Ruby. It dims at night, so if you cruise on at night it's a very faint red lamp, brighter in the daytime. Okay, everything's in and wired and ready to start reassembling this. There's our cruise control lamp, just fitted nicely into the dial face. There's our solenoid mounted cables are in, just running neatly around the back, so we can start putting everything together. The little rubber insulating pad for the speedo's in. We can start to place this together now and rebuild all this. Our rev counter's just over there ready. We need to put these rubber insulating cups that stop light getting into the discs, and we need to sellotape those two discs on to the back of that rev counter. I think this clock face here has got good discs, the sellotape's not gone, so we're okay with that. That would fit on there. We're getting close now to rebuilding this, putting it all back. So our slight little subtle mods are in. There's your cruise lamp indicator. Some sellotape I've got to go and find now. I thought I had some. Go and root around in the kitchen and get some sellotape. Okay, test light is on. A nice clear high beam. And then a great little clean green. There we go. Ready to go back in with new sellotape on. That's ready. Just need the rubber insulating cups now. Isolating cups, shield cups. Stops the internal lighting going through these, giving false readings. 4 cups to put in. We're off. Circuit board I've got there as Bramble's original. It's damaged, but it's not badly damaged. It's only damage on one of the bulb holders. Rather than go pinching another, I'm going to repair Bramble's. Say it's just the one bulb holder, we can fix it. Because they're LEDs, we can solder into the harness, into the pins of the lamp holder, because we'll not be changing them for 50,000 hours. So little nuts to secure the gauges go on. Rev counter now. In it goes. Line up the pads. Don't touch the needle or you'll bend it. These are quite clean. It'll be prudent to clean them. I might take them off one at a time. Clean these pads and connectors here. I'll put them in it. It's only the washers, but let's hope we ain't lost any. Do I recall on a previous vid, one of the nuts went on the floor. A quiet affair today. No rambles yet. And what happened to my voltage reg? Where does this stuff go? I put everything away safe. Rubber cup for that. Now we can fit a clock face. Okay, hours and minutes, seconds, on we go for the clock. Wow, that looks nice. There we are, there's the instruments in. Fan operating okay. Everything bolted up, so now it's the plastic cover, I'll get that. I've gone for an anti-static clean on that, a household anti-static, Mr. Sheen. In that goes, on that goes. A bit of the cleaning cloth there, that's how good them microfibers are, breaking off. That's bad. Right, now we need the screws for this. I need to get it to click into place, which it just has. We now need to just put that on a towel, and then I'm going to get a plexiglass spare one, so we'll fit that as well. We're nearly done, we can start testing it. Some nice new screws for this. The other ones are well corroded, so we always have a little handy box from Bresco.com. Bresco get clips, trim fittings, screws, all sorts from Bresco. we're going to want to put them rubber screws back in this. We'll clean them bolts holding on the gauges later. Let's get it together first so we don't damage or lose anything else. We're Auxilary speedo bolt missing. We'll find that. Two anti-vibration pads have to go on. I forgot about those. I've put new foam pads on there. Forgot all about them, so I've had to open it back up. Now I can put it back in. They just stop the rattle. I think that's what they're for. They were fitted. There's two worn out rubber pads on mine, so I've refitted them. Plexi is on. We're now fitting a nice new powder coated top bar that we have done. That worked out quite nicely. So just the last screws going in to hold this mounting bracket. Like I said, nicely powder coated. And some nice new screws to finish off. And some rubber, some foam pads behind here, which is what it's supposed to have. Again, anti-rattle pads just at the back of the powder coated bar. Last screw going in. That is the front of that. The plexi's a little bit marked, but it's not bad. It's passable. We should get the fan indicator working now. You probably won't be able to see it from up there. You can certainly hear it. Just there. So that's running good. The cruise light should light up. There it is. Easy for you to see that one. Of course that dims at night, as I said. Can you see? There you go. There you go. That's it. Test the clock. Power to the back of the clock should charge. I can't see why not. We spent enough time doing the clocks. There it goes, just heard it click. It's not really possible to get the crocs on the back. Just. Nice. Ticking away. Almost there with this now. What do you reckon? Beauty. Let's take you in close. With the dash lights nicely sorted, now I'm going to fit a Molex plug to this extra plug that we have to have on the back of the dash to pick up the fan indicating solenoid and the cruise control indicator and a ground for those two. So just a simple, I'm using a 4-way Molex that gives me a spare if I ever needed it. I haven't got any 3-ways in stock, so we just crimp and then we'll crimp and solder these Molexes, then the female version on the other side, and then we'll make a piece of loom long enough to trim down to what we need. Then it's just ready to go. We don't exactly know the length we're going to need when it's in the dash, so we'll make it over lengthed, ready to go in, and then once it's in the dash we can wire wrap that as a separate loom connector, sub loom. So that just neatens it up. A little bit of circuit board repair to do down here for this indicator bulb where the holder's damaged, and that's about it. After that I think we've got everything else we need. We just need to put the Molex on, and then we can put this unit into the dash frame. We're going to tidy up some space, move the dash frame out to an easy position because it's on wheels, and we'll start a little bit of dash building then this is nicely secured out of the way into the frame of the dashboard. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head if there's anything else missing. Don't think there is. We need to fit all the bulbs now into this. Check them all. Clean these contacts on the circuit board at the back. Like I said, it isn't the best circuit board, but everywhere else is okay, but just there. So we need to just tidy that up and repair that. And then just give this a little wipe down. Fit the voltage regulator back in. Then we're pretty good to go there. But I was really made up with the finished article in this video. It's nice and clean. There's some little plastic sort of securing housing nylon little inserts that go in for the screws at the top. I'll show you them, they just clip in, but we're making good progress on it. I'm really pleased with how it's gone. So this Molec's now ready to solder. Solder going on to Molex. Okay. There we go. Just push these in now. Once they're in. They're on little barbs. You can get a Molex extractor though. It's this little tool that pushes in and releases these. We'll be fine. There we go. So that's ready. Just wrap this now. Make a mini loom for this and then it's done. I'll label these as well. We've got the Cruise Light CL, Earth, and then we've got the fan. That's it. I've got the end of the loom locked in my little bench vise, and then I just tension the cable up, and this is the loom tape. You just get that really acute angle here so that you get a nice even coverage. Keep the roll under tension and loop it round, rather than you would with insulation tape when you wrap sort of a bit more of a parallel angle. This sort of drags down the cable, especially when you've only got a few cables in. You save your harness tape and it gets a better coverage and a neater finish. You can see I'm just sat cross-legged on my chair, pulling back as I go further away. That's how I build, that's how I wrap the looms in this instance anyway. We're nearly at the end. A little bit more to go. You might go off screen, but that's how it works. Nice and relaxed as we do this. Now we've got quite a bit to go yet, longer than I thought this cable. We don't have to wrap it all the way, but we need to at least be able to get to the glove box area where the modules are most likely going to be. Losing you now. Hold on, you can pivot round if you want. That's your call. Round we go, nice and straightforward once you know the technique. I have pigeons on the roof. Someone's had some racing pigeons and they've left them, and they've all escaped, or not escaped, but they're running amok. They've no pigeon house to go to anymore, so they've racked up at mine. I have to get some netting up or something, because They're lodging under any place they can find to roost, poor little things. Well, I'm sure they'll be okay. Right. Nearly at the end. Disappearing, and the volume drops as I fade away from the microphone. Trainers squeaking on the floor. Disappearing. I think that should do it. It just looks a bit more factory wrapping these like this. Can you still hear me out there, you YouTubers and Patreons? Right, come back to you. Right, so I'm now at the end section, so I'll trim that. Where's my knife? Where's my scissors? Scissors, please. And then I like to use the automotive tape, just because it looks the part. This is that cloth tape. Teeth on it! A little bit at the end, see? And now, finish. Like this. Keep it tight. There we go. There you go. Right. That's nice. Coil it up, ready, and then we'll just put some zip ties on it for now, keep it neat. I'll show you the finished article. Releasing from the vise just off your screen. There you have a miniature loom. How neat is that for looking factory? That's ready to rock. So we're just going to zip that up, okay? That's another job done. And there's our tails to do what we need to. A delicate repair coming up. We just peeled back the damaged area of the circuit board here. Cleaned back with a little bit of acid and then neutralised it. Soldered two little jumper links on. Then we've salvaged a little repair pad from another clock. Cut it, tinned up the ends of the copper tracks, and we're going to make these little jumper links. They'll just connect the two together. But before we do, I'm going to use some adhesive and hold this in position, otherwise it's going to be flexing. Also, we're going to use the adhesive. We're going to use a hot melt gun and lock this in place and lock it down. Put the patch leads across, and that should have repaired that bulb holder for the indicator, that is. Let's see if we can do that repair, and then we're almost finished. Cleaned up all the copper as well here. Again, just use acid, a very mild solution on a brush, and then we neutralise back just with water, and then we're going to put some protection gel on there. I'll show you that in a minute. My voice is going. Everyone's got colds. I've done alright with my cold, to be fair. Just a little bit on my throat. Not too bad. Surviving the usual Christmas cold. Although I must admit it's just a minor tickle. I'm okay so far. Right, let's just put those across. Okay, I've sealed that repair in with some lovely hot melt. Very handy tool to have in the collection. It just has its moments when it's perfect for the job. And for something like this, the hot melt glue gun comes in fine. There's no heat around this area in the dashboard where it's going to soften and melt the glue back. It's never going to get hot, so it can be used in this application. Sticks pretty good to the plastic. We've joined those two little repair jumpers in, fitted this new bulb pad here, and now we'll put a little bit of repair tape over the top, and we can cover that repair like this. And that's, I suppose, really the best we could do with that damage, to make that little patch like that. That's in. One more little piece of tape just to hold this down. See how it's trying to peel away. I want to stop that if it gets any worse. Not that once it's behind the dash you'd have any real problem, but still. There's a repair little section in. It's a little bit bulky, I guess. You could probably get that a little bit neater with some finer wire perhaps, but it's going to do us proud. I think we meter it out to make sure we've got continuity. I have done this, but I'll show you what I did. We're looking for one of the pads. There it is. So that one's making it. Test this side, and there it is on that one. So that indicator lamp should work. We picked some better lamp holders. I had quite a few rusty ones. These are quite good. These are renowned to break down. Look at this one out the XL. Well, seeing that I had these in stock, there was no point cleaning these up. And I think some of these are a mixture of Brambles holders, which were quite good, and some spares that I had. So I'll check each bulb before I fit it. No LEDs go in these. LEDs only in the general illumination. I wouldn't want to fit LEDs into the indicators because it's part of the circuit to trigger the indicator relay. The loading has to be right. Also, on the indicator, on the alternator lamp, I'm sure that alternator bulb forms part of the way that the alternator kicks in. So again, we don't want to LED that. There's no need. So indicators, alternator lamp, and even the high beam. No point putting in LEDs for those. The runtime on them is so insignificant, it would be no advantage, and also it's going to affect the systems in the car. LEDs only in the illumination, 3 of them then. We showed you what they were. Fantastic, absolutely mind-blowing LEDs. The proper ones. Got to get them the right way round, positive and negative, so you have to work out on your circuit the right way. I've marked mine with yellow so they're ready to slot in. Just slightly off the top of your screen, you can just see. A little bit more tape just around that area. That's the end of that repair. I've now got the dielectric grease, and I'm just placing it on the contact pads after I've cleaned them. There's 2 more pads to clean there. I've left them off so you can see how we do it. Little bit of brick acid, very careful, and you've got to neutralise it after, but watch, that's all mucky copper, just comes up bright straight away, giving you a better contact. That one too, and that's it, they're clean. I'll just wipe that back now with another cloth and then put the grease on. I'll show you the grease. Curiously, it's very stiff in the tube, this. There for the voltage regulator, just wipe it into the pad so the copper's covered. That just helps, stops any oxidisation of the surfaces there. So that's Dynatec's dielectric grease. That'll work well for that. These bulbs can go in, test them first, so simply, these bulbs look like they're new, that's fine. In that goes. Not that one, that's not wiped back yet. These ones up here where I've wiped them back. Just off your screen. This end. That snaps in nice. Test the next one. Clean any dust off the bulbs. These are all in good order. In that goes for the indicator. Into our newly repaired pad. It should go in. Nice fit. We should be alright there. LEDs, of course, leave them just for now. We want to do these incandescent bulbs. So let me get a cloth and clean that and pop these 2 more bulbs in this end. Right, with this lovely set of clocks now and that all done, and finished and repaired on the back, cleaned, tidied, all the appropriate grease applied to the contacts, the bulbs done, the LEDs fitted, the nice loom fitted, quick connector Molex on there. That clock cluster can go in. Now we can get it fitted into there and get it out of the way. The great thing about this, we're on wheels, so straight away we come in, you know, it comes into its own, and look what we've got. The dash jig ready to start assembling all these parts. and getting everything in. So I'll just come across a bit nearer so you can hear me. Yeah, we're going to do that. What do you reckon? Over to the bench. I'll take you across. We've got on the bench there. Have a look. So over to the bench. Parts. Look at this lovely tray that we had galvanised for the base of the ashtray. A lovely powder coated housing for the ashtray and part of the radio and heater support structure. A casing for the radio itself. I've done satin black on the front of that. It's a new old stock one. The front panel from the ashtray. So all these parts here we can start putting together. And the first job is to get that cluster in. Let's go over to the dashboard now and fit it. Okay, first things first, little white retaining screw holders in, there you go. 4 of those into the frame. Three into the dash clocks. Nice and easy does it every time. In that goes. These can now, with that fitted, are straight in. Just need to pick some appropriate screws and we're good to go. Right, so I'll go to the screw department. Jumping behind camera. I'll leave you rolling. I will stop it right there. Okay, some of these securing clips going in to the little receptacle areas on the dash. These take all the various radio mounts, stuff like that. We've gone to our little components tray and we fit all these little trim clips to snap in like that. This piece fits just, I'm just trying to think if there's certain ways around everything, of course. We just have to refresh the memory banks to recall where everything goes. I think we have some more clips on this. Okay, here we go. So this is the top part of the ashtray. Should just have enough rivets. We're low on rivets. I've just got enough to do this. This is the thing that holds the ashtray in, the slider mechanism. Okay, ashtray. This has a little clip that goes in there, 2 rivets through to reassemble that. Very satisfying, as I said. All these goodies. Two rivets in. Will the gun be set for that size? I don't think it is. I think it's the next size. Oh no, it is. Okay, with not too much effort, we've fitted an interior light to the cigarette tray, ashtray. Pull out, and we illuminate. Nice. Just an LED on top, a little button type LED. I'll show you the type I used for this particular job. A little button type LED. Okay, with a little heat sink on it there, a little resistor on it there. A micro switch fits just at the side and turns it off when you close. So that's a nice little feature, and because it's highly, well, not highly polished, because it's clean silver metal in there, it reflects quite nicely, as you can see. So it's nice when you pull in. The idea was what for it was that so I can pull out the USB sticks, which is the USB sticks I keep for the the Mk3 system, and I have them in there on a little rubber mat so they don't rattle about, but it's nice to just pick, like, that could be 20,000 albums worth. I usually do it like drum and bass, classic rock, Pink Floyd, a couple of others. You could fit everything all on one, but the folder system starts getting a bit crazy. So nice little feature there. I'll show you the micro switch now. Just round the side, it picks up there. Bring it a bit closer for you, just there. Little micro switch again on Vero board at the side, heat shrinked on, and attached to this I used a super glue for this. I tried it on a bit of metal, it snapped the board before it broke off the metal, so the adhesion was good. A little bit of glue gun to support the cables there, heat shrink over them. Switches the negative, so if it touches any metal it's not going to make any sparks, but it'll be fused anyway. There it is picking up at the back. You can just see the operation of it there. Just a little rocker arm catches on the back of the ashtray, so you get lovely illumination. It's flushly mounted inside there, so it's actually completely flush. So if anything was too tall in here and you rammed it in, you're not going to catch the LED. So it's totally flush mounted. That's why I use those button ones. So you're completely foolproof. That's ready. We can fit that into the car. It wants a connector on the end. We'll see how we do that, because it's probably permanently fixed in the car. There's no need for a Molex on it. It can be wired into the permanent wiring. The best place to pick the feed up for it is simply bringing these across to the feed for the cigarette tray, because that's permanently live, and that'll tie in nicely, so you just go straight to the back of the cigarette lighter, sorry. There it's permanent 12, so that's a great place to just hook up. You've got an earth and a positive. Look how neat that is. All done. Thank you and good night. Very nice indeed. Yours for £3. Beautiful. So that holds that, and then there's 2 screws down at the bottom here, which we find. We're going to have to find the right screws. This set's no good. They're countersunk into there, so they're strange, well, not strange, but just countersunk screw heads there and there. We've probably got them in the galvanising box. Okay, but that's how that works. So we're in there. The ashtray has a rubber sort of knock pad, bounce pad, sort of make a soft landing on it. But that's it. Okay, so ashtray, cigarette mounted, cigarette lighter goes in. This one is an illuminated one. There's a little chip on the top. I'm going to have to touch that in with paint. That was done when this was built as an experiment. We can do that though. This just clips in. I'll line it up at the back, but clips itself in with these little press studs, like so, and that's in. Yeah, say that's an illuminated one. It's a modification. They're not normally lit up, but we'll also be having the heater panel lit up as well. So we keep on building. That's nice, that. I do like that. Yes, very good. Just having a little break away from the dash, just off there. We've done quite a few little nice goodies there with that. So it's module time again. While I'm thinking, I'm getting the modules ready. We've got immobilizers, we've got that windscreen module, we've got the warning lamp module. But as I was doing this, I remembered I've not built the courtesy light delay module. So my first plan of attack was schematic out. Very simple, this one. What we need it to do. Are you okay to bear with me while I talk you through this? Sometimes it gets a bit too much, but this is quite straightforward. We want it to, this is all to do with the interior lights, so courtesy light delay. Yes, you can get a relay off the shelf. It doesn't quite do what I want. I have got one. It's coming up on your screen now, out of a Granada, but it didn't work and the time wasn't adjustable on it. So I could have gone to the scrapyard, got another relay and worked it out, I guess. But I like the idea of just having a variable time on it, just so I can trim it in to exactly what I want. Granada's one set at 20 seconds. I want from 20 seconds to say 50 seconds. I also want it to do ignition on, knocks the interior light off straight away. So obviously you're getting into, most cars have got this, you get into the car, close the door, and then it'll count down say 20 seconds before the lights go out. Some dim out, some don't. This one could be made to dim out by substituting the relay with a high power transistor, but I'm not going to do that because I've got LED interior lamps and they don't dim out. Filament bulbs do. The LED ones don't quite dim out the same way, although they may do with a loading resistor on them. We could change that to a dim out, but I'm not too worried about that just yet. I want to talk through the circuit. Get in the car, 30 seconds, close the door 30 seconds after closing the door, lights go out, straightforward. Get in the car and start it up straight away, lights go out as soon as ignition goes on. Park up, turn ignition off, interior light will come on for the same time period. So it's got to go off with the ignition, then on with the ignition off, which sounds confusing, and from logic point of view it took me about an hour to actually think it through and work out how I was going to do it in a simple way without getting complicated. I just needed to think about it, because the key on turns it off and the key off turns it on. It's like working the opposite way round, but also you've got to include the fact that the door's open. So this is how it works. We'll get straight to it. There's enough waffle. You've got, ignore this relay just for the set time being. The main relay's there. You've got your ignition, that's going to your key. These are ground symbols, so they all go to earth. This is the one, the heart of it is this relay here. You switch on the, well, let's ignore the ignition for now, let's just go with ignition off. Okay, door switch is located up there, look. Now my door switches run off positive. This circuit could be adapted, inverted, so that everything's the opposite way around, so a negative switch would do it. But this, for my car with the old school buttons on my door switches, they're actually positive switch buttons. I'm going to keep that. So positive comes in from the door switch, nothing happens, it's a dead end because the door is closed. So that's open. So the door's closed, which pushes that open. Open the door, this switch closes. There's a capacitor there, which is like a little battery. Capacitors are things which hold electrical power in. They're a little sort of can type thing, you see them on circuit boards. It charges up with 12 volts, goes into this relay here, comes out, because the relay's turned off at the moment, the circuit's completed, goes out through a resistor here, and then through a variable resistor, that's our time adjuster, then into this transistor, which will then switch on because you've got 12 volts coming into it, or it's not going to be 12 by the time it reaches here, but it's a high voltage, it's high signal. The transistor is a switch which switches the relay, which the contact's closed, which puts the interior light on. So that's quite a straightforward transistor relay with a potentiometer, variable resistor. That 10k1 resistor is so that even if I close this fully closed, you'd still get the minimum amount of time. If you had that variable resistor all the way back, it'd be a straight circuit through. You don't want that, you would have a 0 time delay. This sets a minimum of 20 seconds. So it's 20 seconds plus whatever I wind this up to, it'll go up to a minute and a half. Okay, so go through it again. Door switch closes, power feed comes through, this relay is inactive, which means the contacts are closed together. It comes out, reaches these resistors. This now receives power, this transistor, so it can activate. By activating, activates the second relay here, which is the relay which closes the switches to the lamps themselves. That's all that happens with that. As soon as you break the door switch, or you close the door, you would normally get a loss of power, but because there's a capacitor here, it's able to hold a charge in it enough to hold the transistor on. Okay, so when I open the door, it charges this capacitor, also holds the line with 12 volts on it, which fires the transistor. As soon as the door closes and breaks, there's enough 12 volts on here to give it enough power to keep this transistor open until it slowly discharges that capacitor through, and the transistor starts to lose its power, cuts out, and then the relay drops and your lights are off. That's what that is. That's a very, very simple way of making a time switch. The most simplest way you could ever have. It's called a transistor capacitor relay. RC, resistor capacitor. Going for it one more time. Trying to keep you central. Going for it one more time. Okay, door closed. Door opens, switch closes. Power manages to get through this relay because it's not active yet. Through two transistors which are used to switch the two resistors which are used to switch the transistor on. Transistor switches on, pulls this relay down to ground, fires the relay, turns on the light. Close the door, door breaks, capacitor's got enough charge in it to keep on holding this transistor open, but it'll slowly discharge through it, and by these resistors will set the amount it can, they're like taps, the amount of current that will flow through. Closing this tap up, it can't get through as fast, it holds it on longer. That's it. So that side of it's done. Let's say I get in the car, the capacitor's charged, the transistor's on, close the door, breaks it open, but the capacitor's still running it, but as soon as I turn the ignition on, this relay opens the contacts up, and now the transistor's lost its connection to the capacitor and is actually earthed out and is dead, so the relay drops off. So as soon as you turn the ignition on, the light will go out straight away regardless of where it is in the time cycle. That's straightforward. The tricky bit was how you got it to come on when you just turned the ignition off. Well, when I turn the ignition on, there's a little diode, and that's the key to it. That diode also charges the capacitor the same way that the door would. Okay, as soon as the ignition goes off, it's then charged that capacitor up. The relay is flipped across and now picks up the capacitor charge again, which slowly discharges, and that is it. Very simple, straightforward, but it took me about 2 hours to actually fathom it out logically, yet it come up with a very simple solution. That's it. I'm not going to bore you any more with that. Anyone who does electronics will know what I mean. It's a minimum amount of components, ultra reliability, there's no circuit chips, no timer chips, nothing. It's not going to be accurate to the second because the varying voltage across the car battery would slightly change how much power charges into the cap, but it doesn't really matter. It's going to drift within a couple of seconds, which is fine for courtesy light delay. That's it. I'll show it you on the bench mocked up. That's how crazy I built it on the bench. I've got two capacitors there. If you add capacitors together in parallel, they double up. I needed a 440 microfarad or around that figure. I had two 220, so just joining them up, piggybacking each other, gives you a higher amount of charge. They're just like batteries really, that's all they are, and then they slowly discharge through. You can charge a capacitor up and leave it on the bench. Here's one, and it'll stay charged for quite a long time. Eventually the air, moisture in the air allows it to have a discharge path across, but on some components like televisions and things, you can still have them charged up, and if you're working on a television set and you've not discharged these, you can get nasty belts off them, depending on the size of the cap, but there's all different sizes. So they're like mini batteries, and that's what holds everything on. That looks a mess, but that's how I work sometimes. I just have to build it as I go. There's the diode. If I don't build it as I go, sometimes I struggle. Right, it's set up, two wires, one represents the ignition, one represents the door switch. Watch then, if I get the door switch wire and touch it to the 12 volt crock clip, on we go, and we count it out now. So we're sort of like 5 seconds in. Ten seconds in, prox. Sorry about this, I'm to count you down. Some people were saying they found the electronics interesting, so 15 seconds. I'm watching my clock on my camera. Coming up, so it should be switching off any second now. 20 seconds. There you go, so that's out. So I've closed the door and the light's gone off because I'm still messing with the glove box or whatever, or my keys or whatever I'm doing. Now this is the ignition wire. We don't want it to come on. I'm turning on the ignition. We don't want it to come on. It's already done its thing. You hear the relay click. That's now charged them capacitors, but it can't access that charge because the relay's toggled away from them. So now as soon as I take the wire off and that relay drops out, it'll connect the transistor gate across to them caps. So driving along, pulled up at the shops, turn off the ignition, on we go for the same amount, another 20 seconds. If I'd quickly jump in, jump out, as soon as I turn the ignition on, it kills it, turn it off, brings it back on. That's it, that's how it works. Very, very simple. Absolutely. I was on for building timers and all sorts, and I thought there's got to be an easy way of doing this. And sometimes you just got to rack your brain and just give it some thought. There's probably off-the-shelf diagrams, but I couldn't see anything, and it just evolved on the bench as I went along. And luckily I had the bits and bobs to do it, to build it. You don't need the second relay. You could have a transistor driving the lamps, and that would slowly dim out. But you do need the first main relay because it toggles. There it goes. So it's off. It's finished. It's done. Again, door goes on, and that's it. Ignition goes on, kills it. Ignition comes off, reactivates it. That is it. All I've got to do now is neaten all this up. That's how it was. There's the transistor. That blue thing's the variable trim pot, the thing that can adjust the time delay. The resistor you see just in front of it, that little thing with black stripe, orange stripe, it's a 10k resistor. Those colours on the band colours on the components represent the value of the resistor. A bit like a little tap on your sink. It just restricts electricity going through it, and the different colours donate the restriction or the resistance. As I say, those two are the capacitors. You could just have one of these, but I needed a 440. These are 220s, so by piggybacking two across, it doubles the storage capacity. And that's it. There's the diode, which stops it feeding back. You have to have that diode. Whoops, if you went across here and you didn't have the diode. The diode's a one-way valve, so on your plumbing at home, you can fit them one-way valves, so water can only go in, it can't come back down the line. Same with this. Once it charges the capacitor up and you turn off the ignition, you wouldn't want the capacitor trying to keep the relay on, so this diode stops the charge of the cap getting back round and keeping that relay on. It can only go to the transistor. Without that, the circuit wouldn't work because the capacitor would simply discharge through the relay. So it's a one-way system. Power from the ignition comes in, can get through that way and charge that capacitor up. When you turn the ignition off, the capacitor then can't get back out down the ignition line. It can only go through these contacts to the transistor, which will slowly discharge it, creating the time delay. That's the best I can explain it. And this side of it, you could just have that transistor or a bigger one, a more higher current transistor with the bulb, the interior light bulb, instead of this relay, and it'll slowly dim down, which is a nice feature, but I don't think it works with LED interior lamps. I think that they just go all the way and then suddenly just cut off. I'll try it, but I don't think it does. But the main thing is to build this up now into the module. That's what I'm going to do, and get it out of the way and move on, because stuff like this can drain your time quite quick, especially when you're assembling. You can assemble something really fast, you know, when you've got all the parts done like we have done here. You know, we've assembled this quick today and yesterday, and then as I stumbled across the fact I didn't have a interior light delay, off I went. I mean, I tried to dig some out, none of these worked. I couldn't get them to do what I wanted. so I just built one. Now you may say, well, that's an interior light delay relay or similar. They only have one relay in there and a few, there's the capacitors and stuff. That's quite simply laid out, similar to what I've got, that is, but it's not time adjustable. And this relay would be replaced in the real terms with little tiny chip circuits to keep the cost down. Relays are relatively expensive, that's why they wouldn't build something like this in a car. This would just be done on one tiny chip, simply for cost. Mine's reliable, easy to fault find, easy to repair, ultra reliable, it'll never go wrong. I'm done, I'm building it, let's go. And a great time warp for you as I jump you straight ahead to the completed interior delay module. Fits nicely in this project box, and you can see straight in front of you all the components needed to make it run. Right in the middle of the screen is our trim pot, our delay pot. Then those two capacitors I was telling you about just there, coupled together. The transistor just there. The main relay, which will actually be switching the lamps itself, pretty independent in its independent in its contacts. So the two contacts of that relay just come straight out on the wires, no connection to the board. So it's totally isolated. We've got an LED there that shows the charge on the capacitors, and the green LED is showing a live feed to this relay, because the feed to this relay is independently fused, so that if an interior lamp goes, we've got a fuse for that, if a bulb shorts out. As long as the fuse is okay and there's live feed getting to it and the relay's on, that green LED comes on. Just a little another system check. There's that little slave relay there. A couple of resistors across, the trim pot, as I said. A diode just by the word D to the left, that's the snubber diode. Just stops the transistor blowing when you get the extra high tension created by this field collapse, or when the relay switches off, it creates a little sort of voltage surge which can take transistors out. So you snub it with that diode there, it kind of like shorts it to ground. It's a common practice on relays to put a diode across them when they switch off. If you ever put your fingers across a relay, it won't hurt you. You'll feel a little tickle as the relay turns off. Try it if you want. If you want to wake yourself up, just put your two fingers across the two coil connections of a relay, then spark it on, off and on quite quick, and you'll feel a tingle on your fingers. That's the high voltage produced when a relay switches off. So that diode kills that and stops the transistor blowing, because high voltages can take transistors out. So that's the overlay of the board. Try and do it while you're on screen, but I don't think I can to power it up. Can't get a link across. Here's the wiring coming out. There's me trying to get a positive across. Can do it with a screwdriver, very unorthodox, but we can do it. All I'm going to do, this is the door switch, it could be the ignition switch. It's the door switch, on it goes. So I've just simulated the door opening and closing. Green shows everything's running, and then you'll get that 20-second delay. You'll notice this LED here begins to go dimmer and dimmer as the capacitor discharges. That's our way of telling a circuit's good at that point. You can just see it on your screen a little bit better. Watch that as it dims down. I'll go into the dark. We'll take you through it now. I think it's got it set on about 40 seconds. I'm going to drill a hole in the top of the lid so you can put a watchmaker's in, and I turn that trim pot for adjusting the time without taking the lid off. Slowly dimming down. We've done a lot of time delay stuff recently, haven't we? This is another one. Sorry, your time's valuable and I'm wasting it on this. It will go, promise you, it'll go. We can just set the delay that we want. As I said, if I turn that pot in a bit more, this will discharge a lot quicker through the transistor gate. Dimming down on the red now. red almost extinguished, so the capacitors have almost discharged themselves through the transistor, but it's still holding on. A lower voltage, there it goes, a lower voltage, a relay can take 12 volts to energize, but you can actually hold it with like 6 volts up to like probably as low as 4 volts, and it'll hold because it doesn't need as much force to hold the contact together. Once the relay coil comes in, it can hold. As you drop the voltage, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, it's still holding because it's done the most of the work was to close it, so it can hold on quite a low current, which is why the LED red almost extinguishes. You're probably down to 4 volts before it drops out, which is exactly what happened then. So that was that. We can do the ignition one. There's the ignition LED showing that the ignition's been turned on, so no interior light. Turn the ignition off, interior light comes on for again the same delay time. Turn the ignition on again. This is how I'm doing it, just by shorting them links across with a screwdriver, bit unorthodox there. Ignition on, kills it straight away. Ignition off, starts another time cycle. That's it, it works perfect, it's great. The 2 yellow wires are the feed in for the actual courtesy lamps, so live in, then live comes out through the relay, totally independent. 2 brown wires for the triggers, 1 for the door switches, 1 for the ignition column, then an earth, then a permanent positive supply fused. That's it, we're done. This little unit's good. We can put the Molex on it now, and then we've made ourselves a lovely custom made interior light delay module. There we go, from the schematic to the finished article. 4 hours work and you're good to go. A little bit intricate working on Vera board. You sometimes put little jumper links across, try and plan it out so that it's in some kind of order. Doesn't always work that way. Glue gun there to stop the capacitors wobbling so that they don't create a dry joint or break off the board at the back. It's just to stabilise it a bit with a glue gun. Very handy for that. Again, I've glue gunned the trim pot there, that little trim screw, so that when the screwdriver goes in it's not wobbling around all over the place. And that's it really. LEDs are glued as well because they could wobble. Anything that's top heavy on the board you try and glue down, and glue gun's perfect for that job. Trying to keep my hands steady. That's it. Another module done. Lamp overhead to help. There we have it. Quite a nice unit, quite made up. Only small. Hard for you to get there, it's just dropped out. Hard for you to get a sense of scale sometimes when I'm close in on the bench. So in the palm of my hand, there we have it. How about that? Just a Molex to fit then. No problem fitting the Molex. Let's do that and then we're done. Okay, just a question of soldering up the pins for the Molex. Love this bit. Very satisfying. And very quietly in the background, I got Clutching at Straws by Marillion on. It's got Sugar Mice on at the moment. Great guitar solo, Steve Rothery the man. Sugar Mice guitar solo, yeah. I do like me rock. Just smell those real lead fumes. Yeah. So nice just to solder these on. Really satisfying. Oh yeah. How steady can I get these hands to be? Not bad considering old git syndrome. Time and tide. Waiting for nobody. Come on, Molexes, let's do it. Such a lovely job. Nice clean metal. Let the solder flow. Not too much. One more to go. The earth wire just underneath. We're in, ready to Molex ourselves away, check everything's right. Ah! Ow! I burned myself. Well, that's another module boxed off and done. There's our loom wrap, there's our Molex, here's our module, just freshly tested and running. So we've left them tails at the end so that we can just wire into the loom. Don't need a lot of length on this one because it fits just behind. I'll take you over, just behind the glove box. Here we go. It's going to fit just at the back, and then what you can do with the Velcro pad, just unattach, and there'll be enough to get under the passenger footwell, detach it if you had to repair, service or alter that unit, modify, repair, service or whatever we need to do. So what we're going to do now is start lining all the modules up into the relative positions at the back of the dash and continue. Now as you look at the back of the dashboard, then stepping back so we can see what we're up against there. No problem, nice clean work. There's our bench on its wheels so that we can move around, and indeed there's our workbench looking a mess as usual. Each session creates all the workload. I mean, just look at, it's just all, we need to tidy that up, and then looking around the workshop, we're filling up with stuff. We're just soon gets out of hand. I always say that, but not too bad in this corner where we have the suspension clip built, the engine waiting in the wings, an assembly bench over there for the newts to work on. He's going to be helping us with our engine, we hope. Jim, are you out there, lad? Jim, help me build the engine. I don't know how to do it, so help me, Jim, build the engine. Okay, I will carry on. We need some heater control cables now because I want to get the radio slotted in. We're actually going to have the radio running in the dash this afternoon. How about that? How about that? And all these modules starting to get fitted into the relative positions. Okay, let's get on with that. Just in the vice, as part of the assembly, how Bramble's heater control system stayed this clean, I still cannot believe. I don't know why, how, but it didn't need any work really. There's some surface rust on the top side, but this was incredible condition. PTFE down the operating rods. These are the levers which control the heater ducts, the fan control, and I'm just putting some PTFE down these operating cables and then just letting it bed in until it drips out the other end of the cables. But all these levers are really pretty free. You can just see this operating lever here. Watch this, just to the left of your screen. We're all in good running order. Very smooth. Nothing to do to that. Not even rusted the bottom of the hat bracket. This has survived the all important contact pad for the fan. This is the little switch that runs your fan in the 2-speed position, and the boost position, that's your boost. Pull to boost, pull out, and there's a combination of this operating lever closes down the air vent for the hot, diverts all power to the fresh air vent, and when you pull out, puts full 12 volts to the fan, so giving you fresh air boost. So by pushing that lever up, it's closed off the ducts to the heaters and the demisters, and this just operates all the air to the face vents only. That's a mechanical control on the flaps of the heater box. Then by pulling outwards in that position, you can only do it in that position, by the way. Boost only works for fresh air, gives you full 12 volts. This other contact pad is a kind of half voltage, a 6 volt of current through a resistor, through a rheostat sort of effect. That is clean. It's not as clean on the other side, the top side, but I'm not going to take that apart. I'm just going to put that in as is. So PTF on them rods, they're smooth, they're good. We can fit that into the dash. We need to get that in because it forms part of the radio mount. You'll see that these tabs here are for the radio cage to slot onto. So out of the vise we go. There it is. There was no point stripping that. Obviously this side, as I said, has got surface rust, but I wasn't going to take all that apart and rebuild that. It wasn't necessary. It was that clean. Again, it shows low mileage. I don't understand it, because Bramble's allegedly 90,000, but these I've had hardly any use. These contact pads here, they're normally burned in. They're a weak point. You get tarnish building up on those, and a resistance creates, and heat builds up, and then it melts into the plastic. But I've had to replace them in the past on other cars. These are just good to go, in really good order. Let's fit this into the dash now. Okay, I'm now bolting the radio into its slide cage. There's a little L bracket at the back, which I've had to make with some galv plate that I had lying around. The L bracket was missing, just 2 8mm, and we have the support bracket there. All the quick connectors are off. That's ready to slide in. I think we should have an earth strap as well, though this is serving as a good earthing point. I don't think we need that earth strap. We've got earth tangs there. So it slots into its front, and then your trim bezel fits over that. You have to leave enough just for it to fit together. We may have got that wrong. We'll have to see. But at the moment, that is it. It may need sliding around to suit the faceplate. We haven't got the faceplate. It's a way getting hydro dipped with its wood grain finish on it. But here you go for the radio. And as you just saw me slide in the heater control fascia panel, the heater control operating levers, this slots into those, so they have to go on first. And it's good that the light for the ashtray clears the workings of the heater, just about. It's close. That's why we kept it low profile. You remember that's just earlier on, that sliding LED light inside the cigarette tray just clears the workings, so that's good. A neat plate, a new old stock one. Bramble's was a bit rusty. Really, Bramble should have gone for plating, but this was okay. I mean, how far do you go? Do you start plating the casing of the radio? It'd be nice if time was on our side, but as I said about that cut-off point where how far we go with the car, and you have to have a level, otherwise you are literally galvanising every single individual part. And you could have taken the radio to pieces completely, re-galvanised its complete chassis, built the whole radio, but the time aspect of it, there's no net gain. It's just, I don't get a gain out of it, you know. You do get a gain out of it, but you get a loss of time, and that's what I'm talking about. Right, radio then, into the dash we go. Round to the front, in, lock onto the 2 tabs, bottom of the cage, and the tabs onto the heater slider bracket. Wow, oh wow, oh wow. Come round the front and look how that went in. Perfect. There we have it, lined up with these triangular brackets which we fitted earlier. Ford radio mounting brackets, little triangles. A lot of people ask for those when they're trying to fit a radio that was gone or messed about with. You can make them to triangle, and it's got a supporting rib on it. You could weld something in and make them brackets up. They're hard to find actually. We were lucky. So there it is, that's how it fits. Look how it lands on that cage. So everything's clear. All the controls free to operate, and just underneath that the LED sits and clears the heater controls. Just so that's nice. That radio's on. We can get the radio wired up now, so we've got music as we work. That's the next job. Velcro pads going onto the MP3 module, fitting just behind the dash here, so hopefully they'll work. I've used them before, the Velcro pads. We'll see how it goes anyway. We'll keep our eye on that setup. The rest of the modules also Velcroed on, so you can get in the back, unplug them. Now we're watching out and very wary for rattling noises, so we're going to watch this, extensively test that for rattling sounds and make sure that it can withstand, and we don't want any annoying rattles coming from here. But we do need to make the modules pull out and dangle in the passenger footwell so that we can service. Anyway, radio module in next. We have here Bramble's heated rear Hella relay. Was looking quite tarnished. We're just about cleaning it up now. Got the casing cleaner. Fuse holder was all rusted up. Fuse itself, as you can see, was corroded out, so we just got a little bit of brick acid, WD-40, some other cleaners, just giving it a little helping hand. And then we're going to fit these rubber cushion pads for the wiring harness clips on the back of the dash. They just need cleaning down, then some Tiger Seal to hold those on. So little dash details at the moment. Radio is up and running. We are on, we are live, we are going, we're on. We are running in, powered up and absolutely running. Let's find some news. So it's still on Marillion at the moment. Been on that for ages. Select a new folder. It's all Marillion. 12 albums I've got at the moment. So we're all running good. Taking you around the back to see the progress. A clean up of the bench. Clean up of the bench there. And then everything's threading in okay. Flasher relay mounted just there. That makes a nice soundboard for the ting, 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 mit, 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 mit indicators. Great, we want that. With no hazard lights. Bramble did not have hazards from the factory. Someone had fitted aftermarket ones to it. We won't be using those. We're going to build our own hazard lamp relay. That's one of the last modules to build other than the cruise control. Although cruise control is simply a question of wires really. There's no real modules for the cruise. A couple of relays perhaps needed for the overdrive on the gearbox coming out of the gearbox maybe, but they're just relays again. So there's not many modules left to build. We're almost done. We can close the electronics department down. Wow, I think we blitzed that one. Modules here all accessible if you take the glove box out, which is easy to do, just 4 screws, and you can take your glove box out, reach in and get the modules and offer them out that way, or if you want you can go underneath by the footwell, but they're all good accessible there with the glove box. So Velcroed on for now. If that system doesn't work, we'll have to make some brackets. I think it will work, especially for builder support underneath. So that's it. Radio mounts in there. All the quick connectors paid off because we just slotted in and away we went. So all nicely in and everything just plugs up. Everything just fired up straight away. So that gave us sounds. We're wired for sound. Cliff will be proud. Power from the needle to the plastic AM FM stereo. I feel so excited now. It's music I've found. I'm wired for sound. Go Cliff, go. If only he was on here. Man, a little bit of Cliff every now and again. But we're overdosed on Marillion. We need to swap the tracks. We're all Marillioned out. We need some drum and bass to keep me moving. Drum and bass is what I want now. Drum and bass will keep me. It'll keep the wolf from the door. I'm going to go and have to get the entire dash of Bramble now and offer it up on the floor because we need the wiring harnesses. We've got to get Bramble's wiring harnesses in. We're going to get some live power and we need to make a hazard light unit. Let's go, let's make a hazard light unit as well. Finish that heated rear relay. Loads to do, but we're moving fast. I'm going to move up and you're going to move up quick. Okay, so Bramble's dash in. Come over and have a look. Come on over to my place. I guarantee you a good time. Look at the rust on this dash. Just walking you through. I'm just tiptoeing around and we're going to show you how we've got to clean this loom up. Of course we're keeping Bramble's loom. We didn't keep Bramble's dash. I just bumped into the table, so hard to keep a steady track. Let's try and keep a steady track. Down and razor sharp for you. As you slowly we take a look at the state of play on Bramble's dash. We didn't use it, okay, as you know, as it's blatantly obvious. So helps us with just reassembling this one. We make sure we haven't missed anything. Okay, bit of eye candy, bit of rust candy for you. A different design dash. If you look below the glove box lid, there, same this side. They did away with the scalloped out shape. I don't know why, and they extended it so that dash panel went longer. I always thought it was the other way around, and that they started off with longer dash panel lowers, this bit, and that they went to the scallop later because people complained their feet were catching on it. But I don't think that was correct information. It may be one of my wrong assumptions. So anyway, my dash has got scallops out. I'll take you up and you'll see them. They're not very pronounced, but they are there. You can see this shape there, that curve out, gives you more leg room, foot room. I don't know why that is, but that's the way it is. What we've got to do with this dash is extract the harness and clean it and take off all the add-ons. There's a hazard light that's been added on here. We don't want that into the loom. We're going to make our own compact one. So the first job is to extract anything that we need out of this, then place it back into the stores. That is the mission. Leave me to strip this. Well, I've bundled that up when I stripped the car. Early stripped down videos of the car show that. You can see those rubber foam pads here to help pinch the loom and not chafe the cable. We've got those to fit. But other than that, we're done. You can see I've already just rebuilt all that with spares that I had. No real advantage. Keeping Brambles, it's one of those things where you might say, well, it's not Brambles' actual one. That kind of thing doesn't worry me too much. Just the way that it was, and we had spares of things in stock. There's some parts to pinch off the glove box lamp, we'll need that, glove box catch, and a few other things. For now, I'll get this out. Let's do it. The loom is recovered from the car, and we're bringing this video to the end now, but I'm going to leave you as I clean this loom. So we extracted it out of the dash, and now the foam cleaner goes on. General purpose foam cleaner. The unenvious task of hand cleaning this loom to get it tip top. So I go over to my store, slowly taking you up, grab some of these super Wipex cloths, Wipex Supply and Wipex Burstico. They're the boys, we know they're watching. And let it soak in, and we're just going to have to hand clean this, toothbrush, cotton buds, the whole works. I'm cotton budding between every cable, right on every little edge of every plug. It's got to look brand new. We can't immerse it in water, not the best idea. It's a hand clean, hand wash your socks job, I'm afraid. Hand washing your socks. So with some drum and bass on, a complete deviation from my normal musical taste, which is typically 70s and 80s rock music, although I do like pop 80s and cheese as well, depending on my mood. Cheesy 80s pop's good, synth 80s pop's good, late 70s, early Simple Minds, early Human League, and then bits and bobs of Human League, even a bit of ska. Don't really like reggae, but I do like ska, so Madness Specials Selector. Then some obscure stuff, electronic stuff, Mogwai, Steel Mount Zion, others too, but in this particular instance, music wise, to relieve monotony, drum and bass is very good. That doesn't mean that it's monotonous, it means that it relieves monotony and gives you power and energy, or it gives me power and energy. It's soothing. It has to be the right one. I usually go for LTJ Buckham and MC Conrad. I just like the way they put things together. It is, well, even I surprised myself that I like drum and bass. House music's okay-ish, but drum and bass has that, especially if it's the deep stuff. They tend to use like space samples and things, and they loop it, and I think whatever beat it is, I think it's over 120, but it's not your normal 4/4. I don't know if it's syncopated. Someone who knows music will know that there's a particular beat style to drum and bass rhythmic. I'll just turn it up very quickly. I know it sounds like, well, I don't like rap music as such, although some rap, like early 80s, you had Grandmaster Melly Mel and stuff, that was different, but I don't like swearing and all violent stuff, and drum and bass, for me, helps me do my wiring harness. I don't know why, it just does, it just gets me through. So I'm all calm, and it calms me. I drove all the way to Italy with drum and bass playing. Of course I had other songs as well, but for large segments of the journey, I think it's something to do with rhythm. It's like wheels turn, it's like, here's a good way of explaining it. This is the Bramble Ramble to close the film. A good way of explaining it perhaps is, imagine this is a bit crazy, but bear with me, a steam engine, let's say a 4.6, is it a 4.6.4? You got a four-wheel bogie at the front, 6 driving wheels with a Conrod link, and then I think another either 2 or 4 wheels at the back, like a Britannia class. I think it's Britannia class. Right, think of all those rods, pistons and things moving in and out, slightly at different speeds, but they're all working in sync. And I think that's why I like drum and bass, because when I hear it, my mind just pictures rods and pistons all moving up and down, and the what you call the percussion part of the drum and bass, and the main beats of the drums and stuff like the wheels and the smaller parts of the engine, all like flying together, and it's very dynamic. You almost imagine movement when you hear drum and bass, like things, engines turning, but it's more than just an engine. It's more complex than an engine. It's more of a steam engine as opposed to a vehicle engine. A car doesn't do it the same, whereas a steam engine does, because you've got all those visual things on display. A lot of the engineering is actually visible, and that to me links in with the music. So for monotonous jobs, which was my point of raising this drum and bass thing, is that I lose myself. This job, would you cherish nitpicking through this little lot with a cotton bud between all them cables? Would you want to do that? I mean, yeah, I don't mind it. It's just that you need something to get you through, and that does it for me. That's why. Other times when I've been doing, I couldn't do it for the electronics. Now here's an interesting one. If I'm doing my electronics, then it's stuff like The Wall by Pink Floyd, or The Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd, or even the Medal album. That helps me with electronics. More soothing, slow, because you can't think fast with electronics. This is more where you've just got to battle your way through. And that's about it. Different music for different jobs is what we're saying at the end of this ramble. Hope you've enjoyed it all, watching us build up this dash and the rest of those modules. So we're going to sign out. There's no need for me to do a piece to camera. You've had enough of my ugly mug. I don't need to be on the film all the time. So cloth's down, the foam cleaner on. We get the toothbrush in a minute, and I have to go to the shop and buy the toothpicks. Looking at these plugs, they'll clean up all right. They're not ridiculous. Look, they're already looking pretty clean. That's only just by a light foam clean. That's not even supposed to clean the electrics. That's just to get the grime off the harness loop. I'm not breaking this down, I'm just adding the wires to it. We're leaving this original loom. The idea with electronics on this build is to add extra looms and just connect them over the top, not to interfere with this. We'll have to break into some cables, of course, where we'll cut into the wire, solder in, then wrap it in, but we're not going to actually open the loom up. It stays as one section, and there it is, disguised grey on grey. And one last, before I close, one last little look at the state of play as we pan right back, or we step right back to the workshop and leave you with this view. A reasonably tidy bench, and then sounds running in the dash, making it nice, quite peaceful at the moment as well, warm and on target. Over there you saw the engine and the clip. So that's it in this final of the spin-off videos. When we go to the main assembly videos, I think it's episode 33, I think 34, we just bring all these elements together to make episode 34. Otherwise, because I want to finish on episode 50 if I can, you know, so the car's built in 50 episodes, though the spin-off films just form part of the final. So we could say, let's say we're in episode 34, we'd just say we're building the dash up and it's nearly done, and all them sub-modules wouldn't have been included in the main Bramble episodes. They'd just be saying refer back to the spin-off videos if you want to see how these were built. So once we've got all the sub-assemblies done, like this loom, then it starts getting used for episode 34. Sneak preview, some seats just in the corner, but you're not going to see anymore. Okay, over and out. Thanks for subscribing, by the way. We did well in November, but typically it's bottomed out again. Some videos went quite busy, and not the build videos, some spin-off ones like the auction ones and stuff. Crazy that the auction ones do better than the main Bramble stuff. That's just because Bramble's videos or Cortina City restoration videos haven't really gained any big traction. It might be because it's a niche market, but most of the viewers haven't got Mk3 Cortinas. In fact, the lowest viewers are people who've actually got Mk3 Cortinas. I think they just tend to want to see their own stuff because they're busy with their own projects. So we're hoping the channel will keep growing. I need your support to do it, though. If you can just try and put links on forums and Facebook and stuff, anything that you can, because the money off YouTube does not really give you much inspiration to fire loads of videos out. I mean, if it wasn't for Patreon, I wouldn't be filming most, because other than the enjoyment aspect of it, I wouldn't be doing it, because I'd do less. I'd still film, but I'd just do a lot less, that's all, because I love filming. I don't bother if it makes any money when I'm doing just a monthly, but if I'm having to like really go and pump videos out, then it starts to become a job. Because of the editing and having to stop, turn the music off, set the camera on the jig, on the tripod and stuff, and then it starts to be, you start thinking, well, I just want to carry on working, I don't want to set the camera up. But then you think, well, I don't want to let YouTube down, but then YouTube insults you with like £3 a film, and you just think, well, you know, if it was busy, it wouldn't be as bad, because you'd leave me thinking, right, I can't wait to do my next car. But it's just doesn't inspire you as much as it should. And I think for all the work you put in, when someone can just put some kind of gaming video on and get millions of views, you think, well, okay, I've got no right to command any views. You're as good as what you put out, and it's the market. If the market wants gaming vids or cat and dog videos, then that's the market. You can't knock them for it. It's just that I'm a sad old git with a Mk3 Cortina, and well, join me. Okay, thanks for everything anyway. Catch you in the next episode, of course, and if you want to jump across to Patreon, then shove $1 in the box, because we'll pay for some more foam cleaner. Hasta la vista, baby. I gotta leave town now. Over and out. This is PC at Cortina City, signing out. Well, here we are all lit up with plenty of places to go. So I fitted those LED bulbs and they are fantastic. Absolutely. We'll show you those under real lights. Hold on, because everyone's going to ask, what bulbs do you use? eBay's these ones, but they're not Chinatowns. These were, I don't know if they're off eBay, but they're like a little cigar shape, pink or ice white. We've got ice white in at the moment. There they are, beautiful little bulbs, really, really good, because they're not directional, it shines all over the place. So you can see with just 3 lamps what a result we get. Ice white, slight blue hue, that's because of that, the way that the internals of the dashboards are arranged, so that's what you get. So a Cortina dash does have a slight hue to it like this, which makes it very easy on the eyes. When the pinks are in, it's a little bit harder to read the instruments and not as easy on the eyes. I find that colour that we've got there now, white, bouncing off the blue internals of the clocks, to be really nice on the eyes, and that'll be why they've done it. Also to balance out, as someone pointed out on YouTube, to balance out the incandescent as well. And as Andy said, blue light scatters easier. What a beautiful result. A great day's work to get that like that. And you can see I've fitted a blue indicator into where the fan indicator goes, just so it's not a black hole. That could be blacked out if we wanted, but I thought, well, blue just gives it, because you can tell the holes there. And I was thinking, many people thinking there's just a hole drilled in the dash, whereas if it's got that little sticker, it looks like it's supposed to be there. So I don't think it's going to distract. I think it's going to be fine. Everything's fantastic. Very pleased with that. I'm especially pleased with those bulbs and the way that they give that illumination of the dials. I think it's really effective. And wow, look forward to doing the rest of the instruments. Closing off for tonight. It's a night out tonight for me, on the town for a meal out. We'll catch you in the next part. PT2 signing out for now, unless we roll over into tomorrow, which we may well do. See you later.